Hello folks, welcome to Canal Chano Jose. Today we're going to show you, give you an idea how to replace the wheel stud on the hub. So for that, we're going to have to remove the brake caliper and the rotor because we have to get access to extract or stud. So for that procedure, we're going to use a hammer, and then that's the only special tool we're going to be using to extract or pull that stud out. To pull it on, we'll show you the process. And one thing I want to say, once you buy, because it's really important that you have a working stud. If one is bad, you want to replace it, because every time you loosen it and tighten it, it's just going to get worse, and at one point it's going to just seize or break off. So sometimes this happens when you cross thread the lug nut, and then what happens is that once you want to take it off, sometimes they don't come off easy, and then you're going to have problems. So what we recommend is that once you get your new stud, you want to get a new nut as well, so that way you don't reuse that old one and it's going to create the same problem. So you use brand new stud and brand new lug nut. So we show you the procedure on how to do this. Okay folks, so we have this stud that we've been saving, and we have that lug nut that goes with it that is in good shape, and as you can see, the threads are all good, they're clean, and we have one that is right here that is in bad shape, so we'll show you once we pull it out. And to do this procedure, we're going to have to get the caliper off, and there's two bolts in the back that are 17mm bolts, and we're going to take that off and then extract our disc so we can start pushing this guy out. So now that we have removed our caliper and our disc brake, what we can do is we can start hitting our bad stud with the hammer, give it a good whack, and then it's gonna push it and spit it backwards. But you wanna have it to where the stud is towards the front, so you can work on this side without the shield plate. And then, so you wanna have it on this side. And before we start hitting it, now that we align it, we're going to show you how it is on the back. So when we hit on it, it pulls back and it spits it. So we're going to show you how it looks right now and how it's going to start looking when you start spitting it and when you put the other one in. So this is how the stud looks when it's on. As you can see, is the back piece, and then we have some of the body buried into the hub, and then we have the thread sticking out. So we're going to tap right into this 2 or 3 good whacks, and it's going to spit it out. And then when we put the other one on, we just push it through, and then we'll show you the process. But this is how it looks right now before we take it off. So we already spit it out, and here it is how it looks. So there it is, the bad threads, how this been affecting taking off or putting back on the wheel. So we replace it now with a new one. So now we're looking at the front of the hub, and we're missing one stud that we just took off. And now we're going to show you something. It has like little grooves in there inside all the way around. Well, the stud has the same mechanism, so when you push it in and you put it on, what it does, it comes in, and those grooves lock the stud from spinning when we're tightening it or loosening the stud. Otherwise it will just spin. That's why they have those grooves, so they don't spin, and you are able to tighten it or loosen the nut on the wheels. Okay folks, so now that we have the stud to go in, we just push it through the back and we line it up a little bit. We make sure it's in, and then what we do, we put our disc brakes on, and then we can start tightening it on the disc brake so we can compress it a little bit, and then we continue with the process. Okay folks, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using 2 washers and a nut to show you how the process will be once you have the rotor in there, or you can use any kind of source of a spacer to put that, to push this. You can see that it's loose right now, the stud. So we're gonna try to pull it through so it sits just like the other one. So we set our spacers that they go in, and then we put the lug nut, and then this one is gonna sit just like the other ones, and we're gonna show you how the process is done without the rotor, so you can see how it pulls through. Because once you start spinning it, it's gonna tighten, and this is gonna act as a spacer. So once everything starts creating pressure against this plate, stud is gonna start being pull towards the outside because this is creating pressure into the hub. So now that we have pulled this stud through and it's set in there, we used the washers and a nut for spacers, so we were able to pull it through. So we show you how it's done, and then now all we have left is to just put our disc brake on and our caliper on, and then put our wheel back on, and we're done with our replacement. One thing I do is a trick to, so when you're working on brakes, that once you put your disc brake on, you put a lug nut and just hand tighten it so it's rigid, so that way you can start continuing with that caliper and the disc brake is not just wobbly. So that helps a lot. So now what we have done is we have taken out the bad lug stud, and then we have put the new one, the one that is not damaged. And now we can do is we have put everything back on, we put the wheel on, we can set our car back to the ground. So now we have put all the lug nuts in, and I want to say that when you're putting a wheel back on, for any reason, what you want to do is you just want to grab your lug nut and start it, threading it in by hand as much as you can, so that way you know that it went smooth. So otherwise, if you just grab it and put it on and then you twist it a little bit and it just stayed on and then it's crusted and then you got the impact gun and you force it in, you're gonna damage the threads on the lug nut and the lugs in the stud. So that way you want to avoid this by just threading it in by hand as much as you can, and then you grab the tools and then you tighten it. And do not over tighten this as well. Don't cross thread them, because that's the first mistake that we do when we're putting a lug nut, putting the tire back on. We cross thread these guys and then we put the impact wrench and then it damages the whole thing. So start it by hand, tighten it as much as you can, and then tighten it with the tools. And well, folks, hopefully this video was informative and helpful on how to replace a wheel stud on 91 to 94 Toyota Tercel. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe. If you like this video, give us thumbs up, share it, and we'll see you soon with more videos here on El Canal de Chano Jose.